Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this pop-up card book. As you open the card, it's like there's a book inside. It's a beautiful fancy fold card, really lovely, and like most fancy fold cards, quite easy to make. This one I've made using Berry Burst, which is one of our new colours, and for the video I'm going to be using another new colour, which is powder pink. So to start off with, the card pieces you're going to need. The card base is 6 inches by 12 inches, scored and folded at 6 inches, which is 15.2 by 30.4 centimetres, scored at 15.2 centimetres. And you will need a piece of powder pink cardstock, which measures 5.5 inches by 11.5 inches, which is 14.29.2 centimetres. Then you will need 2 layers, let's turn that over, 2 layers of powder pink cardstock, which measure 5 3/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, which is 14.6 by 14.6 centimetres. 2 pieces of Whisper White cardstock, which measure 5 5/8 inches by 5 5/8 inches, which is 14.3 by 14.3 centimetres. And then for the sentiment on the front of the card, you need a piece of Whisper White, which is 2.5 inches by 3 inches, which is 6.3 by 7.6 centimetres, and a piece of powder pink, which measures 2 5/8 inches by 3 1/8 inches, which is 6.6 by 7.9 centimetres. You'll also need a piece of designer series paper. This I've taken from the Fresh Florals designer series paper stack, which is in all of the 5 new colours, and this measures 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches, which is 14 by 14 centimetres. And then for the lining of the book, you need 2 pieces of Whisper White that measure 5/8 of an inch by 3 7/8 inches, which is 1.5 by 9.8 centimetres. For the actual pages for the book, these measure 3 1/8 inches by 3 7/8 inches, which is 7.9 by 9.8 centimetres. For the 2 sentiments inside the card, you need 2 pieces of Whisper White, which measure 3 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches, which is 8.2 by 8.2 centimetres, and 2 pieces of powder pink, which measure 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, which is 8.8 by 8.8 centimetres. You probably know that I'm not very comfortable with metric measurements. I'm a inches person, but I do try and give you the centimetres as well. I just ask that you do double check these before you actually start using them, because as I say, I'm not totally confident with them. Right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the cutting and scoring, which is that piece, and then we will do the stamping, and for that we will need one of those. We'll need that one, and those 2. Right, so just make sure I'm organised. Right, I'll move the card over there and I'll bring the trimmer up. Now you're not going to be able to get everything in shot while I'm working on the vertical piece. So first of all we'll do the cutting, and what we need to do is we need to line our cardstock up on the 3/4 of an inch over this side, which is 1.9 centimetres by the looks of things. I can read that off of here, so I know that's okay. Right, so we're going to start cutting from 1 3/4 inches to 9 3/4 inches, which is 4.5 centimetres to 25.7 centimetres. So that's 1 3/4 down to 9 3/4. Okay, don't think you need to see me going down to 9 3/4. You can hear me on my way down there. Right, so I'm lining up at 3/4 again. I've turned my paper 180 degrees, lining up at 3/4, and I'm going to start cutting at 1 3/4 again. And I'm going to come right down to 9 3/4. There we go. Right, so I've got my 2 cuts like that. Okay. Now we need to do some scoring, and I normally use my bone folder when I'm scoring with this, but because I've got to be very precise where I'm going, I'm actually using my scoring tool for my scoreboard. So the first score you need to make, let's just get that opened, is I like to start off by doing my centre crease. So if you line up at 5 3/4 over here, which is at 14.6, and then score all the way down. Just be careful if you're using your score tool like this as well. Be careful as you bring it on over to that bit that you don't tear that. Okay, so that's halfway. Now between the top and the cut line, and from that cut line down to the bottom, you need to score at 3 3/4 inches. So if you line your cardstock up here at 3 3/4 inches, and just do your score down to your cut line, and then from the cut line down off the edge. Okay, so then you need to check, if you want to check to make sure you've done this correct, the distance between that line and that line should be 2 inches, like that and that. Mine's okay, I've got 2 inches there. So the next one is to move this to 7 3/4 inches, which is that one there, and I'm going to score from the top to my cut line, and then from my cut line down off the edge. And that's all you need to do on the top. Now we need to do 2 score lines down here and 2 down here. I forgot to give you the measurements, didn't I, for metrics. The 5.75 I did give you, because that was 14.6. This one is at 9.5, and this one is 19.7. Okay. Now for the inside one, 4 inches, we're going to line up at 1 3/4 inches, which in metric is 4.5. And what we need to do is we need to score from that cut line down to that cut line. Okay. There we go. And then from our 1 3/4 inches, which is 4.5, we're going to move to 2.5 inches, which is 6.3 centimetres. And again, we're going to score from one cut line down to the next. Just stay inside the cut lines. Okay, so you should have just like a 3/4 inch gap in there. For metric, the gap is 1.8. If it was, yeah, 1.8 centimetres. Now we need to move along to 9 inches, which is 22.9 centimetres, and score inside the cut lines from the start of the cut line down to the next cut line. Okay, so you just stay inside, and then the next one is if you move this along to 9 3/4 inches. Okay. So score from one cut line down to the other. It should be that you're scoring from the actual end of your cut line. So there we go. So let me just say that again in the metric measurements. The first one is 4.5 centimetres, 6.3 centimetres, 22.9 centimetres and 24.8 centimetres. It's those sort of measurements I'd like you to just double check to make sure that I've got it right for you. So that's all that we need for cutting and scoring. So the first thing I like to do is to fold my card in half to make sure it meets up nicely at the halfway mark there. If mine needs a bit of encouragement to fit, then that's okay. I just use my bone folder. Let's line that bit up again. Right, from there to there. Okay, so if you open that up again, the folds that you need on this first one here, that needs to be a valley fold. So that needs to come up like that so that you've got a valley going down there. Then the next one needs to be a mountain, which means it's got to be peeking up. Then the centre of your book, we've already folded that. And this one needs to be a mountain. Don't worry about doing anything with these at the moment. You've got the mountain there, and then the next one is the valley. Okay, so you can see your book taking shape now. Now with these two, they need to be mountains, and then these two need to be valleys. Okay, and that should be your book. Okay, wasn't clever? Just a couple of cuts and a few folds, and there we go. So all we need to do now is to decorate. Let me just show you the decorations I did on this one. So we've got the front here to do, and this one. We've got these two to do, and also this decoration here. This is my second card that I did. I'll show you my first one. I used a retired colour because it was a practice one. I've used Watermelon Wonder for this, but it's exactly the same, except on this one I stamped flowers around here, but I decided not to do that on this one because I thought there's quite a lot of flowers going on here anyway. I think I overdid flowers a bit here, but there you go. It's pretty, and I did the back of that one as well. Right, so the first bit I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do the patterns on the ends here. For the Berry Burst I used black ink. Now I wasn't sure whether I should use black for this or use a darker pink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the black. Now whether that's going to be too dark or not, I don't know, but we are about to find out. Right, because it's photopolymer, it's lovely and easy to see through this. If you find that as you've inked up, you've got some ink on here, which I invariably do, you may want to put a piece of paper over this to cover it up. Because this is folded, it would be very easy to get any ink on there onto your card, so it's probably a good idea to cover it up just in case. I'm just doing it so that I can see where my line is, because I just want to position this in the centre about halfway. That looks about right. Oops, I've moved that. No! Oh dear, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Oh, not too bad, not too bad at all. Just didn't press hard enough on it. Right, let's try that again this side. I think that's because I was panicking, because I felt that I had smudged it, moved it. Right, let's concentrate on pressing hard enough this time. Oh, that's much better. I think doing that in black is going to be perfectly okay. Right, so that's that stamping done. Now, since how I've just been using this stamp, I'm going to carry on with it. This is the front here, so I'm going to do that one and that one. I'm not doing any kind of measuring with the stamping on this card. Really, I'm just guessing, eyeballing it. Right, now this one, I'm just doing it, I'm judging what is halfway this way in the centre, and just trying to get that end about level with that end. Oh, the stamp set this comes from. Let me just do this one, concentrate, make sure I get it stamped nicely enough. That's beautiful. Turn it round, ready, and the stamp set is big on birthdays. So this is what I'm using at the moment, that one there, and that's going to be the main sentiment on the front of the card, where it says wishing you a very happy birthday. Okay, so let's do this one down here. There we go. Oh, not quite dark enough on that, but it won't look so bad though once it's painted. Right, so there's that, and this one is the sentiment for the front of the card. Not much room for error here. Let's bring it down close to me. In fact, this one probably would be better on a foam mat. Oh my goodness me, yes. Well, I'm not going to redo that again because I have actually got all of these stamped bits ready, but I can still use that to show you what little bit of colouring I did on it. Right, now these, the sentiments I've used are from another stamp set, and this is called Layering Love. So I've used Live, Laugh, Love and Enjoy the Little Things. Right, now Live, Laugh, Love is this one, and I know that I want to get it as close down here as possible. As you can see, what I've done is I stamped the sentiments as close to the bottom as I could, and then I did that same design that I've used on the side there, across there. And what I do is I stamp this first and then I die cut it, because these are photopolymer stamps and I can see through exactly what amount of pattern I'm getting and what part of the pattern I'm getting. So this one, I don't know how much I'll leave at the bottom. I'll show you and you can work out what you think it is. Right, so, because I haven't got this straight on my block, I think that's probably about right. So I've left about 1/4 of an inch, would you say that is? No, maybe 1/2 inch. Or even 3/8 of an inch, whatever. But you can see the sort of gap that I leave. And I do approximately the same on this one as well. So this one's not on my block straight either. Let's just pop that there. There we go. So I think that's all the stamping apart from the tops of those two. So what I'm going to do now is bring my Big Shot up so that I can do my die cutting. And the dies I'm using, in fact I've forgotten to bring the packets over, these are from the Stitched Shapes framelits, and this is the largest of the circles. You get 4 circles, 4 oblongs, and no you don't, you get 4 ovals, 4 circles and 4 squares. And this is from the layering circles, and I'm not quite sure how many you get on this. I think you get 10 of the scallops and 9 of the straight cuts, but I can't remember on that one what it was. So let's get the Big Shot. As you can see, I treated myself to 2 nice new cutting mats. Right, so what we need is first of all one of these, and I'm going to place this as high as I can without coming off there. Let's move that. Okay, so as high as I can, so this is as close to the bottom, but being very careful not to let the cutting edge come off of there. So I'm not moving that any further. And then I need one of these. I'm not quite sure how I've done it, but I've actually bent my frame net. Rather clumsy of me, but it still works. Okay, so there's the stitched shape framelit. And this is the scalloped circle. So let's do the other two as well. Get that really very well at the bottom. Did quite well on that one, quite pleased. And the other pink square. Okay, so our second scalloped circle. Let's put the dies over there. And there's that one with the sentiment quite low, so I've got quite a lot of room there for the flowers to go on. I'll put that one there, and then we can pop this away. Right, for colouring, this one, I'm not going to do all the colouring because, as I say, I've already got all these bits prepared. I just want to show you what I do. We're going to do a stamping first, aren't we? We do these. Right, I'm using a scrap of paper and bring my die back again. My stamp back again, and my ink, and because I can see like this, I can judge exactly what kind of pattern I'm going to get on my sentiment, and that one I can go sideways for that, no worries. Okay, so do this one first. There we go. And then this one. There we go. Right, so that's all the stamping that's needed. I'll do the colouring on the other two first, just give those two a little while to dry. Oh, here we go. The only thing that I colour on this one is I do the gaps in the berry, just these little bits here. There really isn't anything else that can be coloured. That needs to be redone anyway. All of these will go on to make another card. They won't be wasted. So I'm using Pizzazz marker pen, and I just go over everything that's not the 4 flowers. I don't try anything fancy. I don't try doing any kind of shading or anything. I just colour all the leaves. Not sure if these are meant to be flowers or not, but to me they're leaves, so they get done green. Okay, so I just go through and do that with all the leaves. Then the flowers, there are 4 of them, that one, that one, that one and that one. As I say, nothing fancy. Okay, and then I just carry on, do all of that. This I do exactly the same way. Do my flowers. There are 2 extra little bits I do on these. Once I've done my flowers and I've done my green bits, haven't done all my flower there, look at that. That's better. And then on this one, with my green, do I do green? Do I do a colour? I think I do the main colour, don't I? Yes I do. I use a pinky colour. I just coloured that little circle in the O, and then on this one it's got a little heart at the bottom that I colour in with my pink as well. Okay, so once they're all coloured in, I will put them onto my circles. I can do all this because I can still paint them once I've finished, although they're not going to be used for tonight's card. They won't be wasted. Okay, so that's ready for the next one. That's it. And then this one should have a pink layer here somewhere as well. It looks as if I may have temporarily misplaced that. That one's gone on the floor. Okay, well, I'll sort that one out later. So what we need to do now, we're going to start putting our card together. And this is the first part we're going to do. So you need your card base. I just found that other pink piece for that. Right. Now I think it's probably best if you use something like the red sticky strip or fast fuse, but I struggle to use fast fuse, so I'm going to stick to Tombow. The thing is with Tombow, what I find downside of it doing on here is you can see through this white, which is why part of the reason, not the only reason, part of the reason why I did something on the back here. First of all, I wanted to cover it up, so I put the berry burst layer on there, and then I thought that that didn't feel as solid as the front did, so then I put the white layer on there, and I just wanted to use something like that on the back, so I did that as well. But it just feels that it's really nice and a good solid card. Right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to put Tombow on this, well, if it's that way, it's a C shape. Going to be careful not to do too much because I don't want it oozing out on the side. Okay, so I'm up to this score line here, up to the cut line, up to that score line, round the corner, up to the score line by the cut line, and then all this bit here as well. As you know, I really like Tombow because it does give me a little bit of time to move this. Now, I'm not measuring or anything here, I'm just eyeballing this. I know that I've got about a quarter of an inch here, but what I do is I make sure that the gap that I've got from that edge to here is the same as that edge to here and that edge to here. Okay, so I keep this back bit up to start with so I can get this in position, and then when I'm happy that that looks about right, let me just press that bit down, lift it up. Yep, that looks about even to me. And then I just check to make sure that that is coming straight all the way down. And once I'm happy with that, then I flatten that all down. Okay, so it's adhered down to that score line and to that score line, but nothing in the middle. Now we need to do this bit. Now if we just glued it down, you could see it would not be in the right position. We've got to pull it so that it comes like that, and by pulling that, let me do it sideways so you can see, by pulling this into position, it automatically pulls that bit up. Let's do that again. It pulls that bit up. Okay, right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over so that I can put my glue onto my, well, I'm going to call it a C shape, up to the score line, up to the cut line, round the corner to the score line, there we go. Now to bring this over, it's easier if you hold on to this bit and then try and tilt it down to get it in position. So you've got the same amount of white gap on this side as you do on this end, and you've got the same gaps everywhere as well. So that gap is the same as that. Mine looks a bit short, but I think that'll be alright. Does it look short? I think so. Well, never mind. So just make sure that's all adhered down. Now you should see that your card works. Okay, so bring that out, that out. Now when you first close this, you probably find that you'll need to put your fingers underneath this bit to make sure it stays up, because what you need it to do is, okay, do it like that first. Right, okay, now behave. Right, you need that to come up like that. Okay, so once you've got that up like that, that is your card all working properly. In fact, that's going very well. Normally, when you first start closing these, you have to keep pulling this bit forward, but that one seems to be behaving itself straight away. So it's clever, isn't it? Obviously it is a bulky card, but then when you've got all these folds in there, it's not surprising. Right, so now all you need to do is to put your card together, and these are the bits I've already done. So this is the bit that's going on the back. I've got a layer of powder pink, a layer of Whisper White, and then a layer of Designer Series paper. So doesn't really matter which is back or front, does it? Okay, let's say that's the back. I might go over that in a moment with the bone folder. In fact, let's do it now, I can see it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this one here, I'm going to flatten with my bone folder. I'm going to turn it over and do the same one on this side. I'm also going to do this one and this one. So, and then this one. Right, so you can't really do the inside once you've stuck it, so that's alright. It's sticking down a lot better now. Right, so that's the back. Now the front, I've already done this bit, and this is layered onto my powder pink, so that can go onto here. Again, it doesn't matter which way up it goes. I just get that nicely into the centre. And then this one, I just pop it on there. This is the one that I've got to redo for the next card because it didn't stamp very well. Again, I'm not measuring, just looking to make sure it looks okay. I'll hold it up for straightness. There we go. Now for the inside, I need these. Right, let's just bring this over, seeing how it's sitting there looking at me. Again, you could use fast fuse for this. I don't recommend snail though. And I do find it a lot easier. My folds and everything finish up much nicer by doing the score line down the centre and actually folding the card. I think it just guides everything else. I've got a lot of glue on here, look at this. That's better. Maybe not. Don't know where that's all come from. Maybe when I edit the video I'll see something leaking. Maybe it's squirted out from the side and I didn't notice. Right, okay, so I've got these two now. I like to do live, laugh, love on the first side. Hold on, that's the wrong one, isn't it? Yes, these are two that I need. That one. What I might do is when I put the other bits together and make another pink card, I might try colouring that, see what that comes up like. Let's see if that's straight. Yeah, that looks good. Right, so pop the card, the book out. I think that's okay. There we go. There's today's project. Isn't that beautiful? Really lovely. And I'm particularly, oh no, maybe not. I was just going to say particularly pleased how that keeps popping open by itself. It's not now. It was starting off originally, but this is what I expect it to happen, for it to keep collapsing to start off with like that, and it goes downwards. But what you want to do is to train it to come upwards. It will do eventually. That's better. getting there. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this project. Oh, I was going to show you the envelope, wasn't I? So if you've got an envelope punch board, you need a piece of paper that's 9.5 inches by 9.5 inches. And I have checked this to make sure that the card will go in there. So it's 9.5 by 9.5, and you start at 4 3/4. So I will just quickly show you this. So start at 4 3/4, punch, score, line up with this score line, punch, score, line up with the score line, punch, score, line up with the notch, punch and score, and then you can pop the corners in at the back there, punch again, and you get nice rounded corner. Just gives it a nice professional looking finish. Didn't do that one very well, did I? Concentrate on what you're doing. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to crash that down like that. The one that didn't come out very well, I'm going to tuck that inside. Right, so you just fold over on your 4 score lines. The paper I'm using is retired envelope paper that I had left over. Unfortunately we don't sell it anymore. It is a big shame, but I just check around, see which one I think looks nicest, and then I'll go for that. That's the one. So I'm going to use fast fuse. So just a little, oops. Make sure there's none underneath, otherwise it'll stick the card in there. And then I just put some fast fuse down here. Of course it's not sticking on there because it's not designed to stick on that mat. Right, just down the edge. And you might see that this is bulging up. I don't try and flatten that when I've got a big card to try and get in there. And I just fold that over. You can see my fast fuse there. So that it does finish up with a gap. Because the card's not so big that you want to make a box envelope for it. There we go. I really do seem to have been very, very messy with my glue tonight. Right, so just to show that it does actually fit in. There we go. And the way that I close my envelopes is I put some tear and tape on both sides, and then when I'm ready to use it I can just seal it up. So there we go, card and envelope today. Larger than normal card, which is always a nice treat, I think. And lost my Watermelon Wonder card. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed today's project. and I really hope you give it a try. If you have any questions or any comments to make, please leave them in the box below or email me at janb@janbcards.com. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here today, not the Watermelon Wonder because that colour has retired now, there'll be a link to my 24/7 shop in the box below. If you've enjoyed my video and you'd like to be notified when I upload more, which is normally on Wednesdays and Sundays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on this subscribe button. And finally, I will put a list in the box below of all the products that I've used and all the product numbers and the measurements and everything. I will also put them on my blog, but you don't have to go over there to find them. They will all be down there. And as I say, please check the centimetre measurements because there are so many of them here. I'm sure they are okay, otherwise I wouldn't be giving them out, but I'm not perfect, and I would like you to check them, please. If you do notice anything that's wrong, please let me know and I will correct it in the box down below for everybody else as well. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.